Hi, Adrian.
Hello, Linda.
Lovely being here with you today. And
My pleasure too.
today we're going to talk about the impact calculator, something really interesting. It's a bit cold today, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Um,
weather is not on our side.
yeah, so here in
That's
Switzerland, it's actually April, but it's also April weather. So I'm wearing my winter boots.
yeah, it is up and downs with sunny, then cold, then snow, and then warm again. But we are used to it. That's April in Europe. That's it.
Yes. So welcome to everyone who's joining here today from all around the world. Thank you for taking your time. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you're joining. We are here today to talk about the impact calculator, and I have the pleasure to be here with Adrian Miley, who is our STEP lead auditor. He's a product manager for Made in Green and for STEP. And since when have you been with Testex, Adrian?
It's over 30 years, 31 years to be exact, since March this year.
Oh
So
my
it's quite a long
goodness.
time. Yes.
Yeah, quite a long time and quite a lot of experience we have here today. So, also again, here to the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box and we'll be happy to get to them during the webinar or afterwards in our question and answer session. So, I would say with that, let's delve right into today's topic. And let me see. Here we go. So our topic today is the impact calculator, a tool to measure your carbon and water footprint. And as said, my name is Linda Wegelin. I'm the Group Market Development Manager of Testex. And I have the absolute pleasure to be here with Adrian Miley, our lead auditor, product manager for STEP and Made in Green.
Welcome everybody here from my side too.
And now first, before we go into the impact calculator, let's see what the focus of today's webinar is. So we already had a webinar for responsible business, which we see here on top, which focuses on the management of your whole supply chain. And we also had one where we focused on organic cotton on our newest certification, which is on the output side. And today, our main focus is on the how, so on the process of STEP. And now you may ask yourself, what is STEP? So, Adrian, could you give us a bit of an insight here?
Yeah, in a short abbreviation, I'd like to do that. STEP is a model certification system for sustainable textile and leather production. And it includes 6 models, as displayed here on the right-hand side, which is the chemical management, environmental performance, environmental management, social responsibility, as well as quality management and health and safety management. And all these 6 models contain of this very comprehensive standard.
It
And
does.
yes,
Yeah.
it's quite a thing because we have started 10 years ago already. So it's now an anniversary this year actually, and we have reached over 1,000 facilities having the STEP certification until now. And with this 1,000 facilities, over 1.3 million workers are involved in this in our in our community of STEP facilities.
So it's really good to hear that we have over 1 million workers worldwide, which we can be happy to say that they work under fair working conditions and where the health and safety has been assessed and certified. And if you now say, so 10 years ago, and we know now that you've been over 30 years with Testix, so I'm sure you must remember the very first facility worldwide that has received the STEP certification.
Yeah, I still remember that one. That was 10 years ago, and it was a Swiss company. Hermann Bühler was a spinning company, and he was one of the pilot projects together with Weber Appenzell. So a spinning and a weaving company, and proudly received their certification in 2013. Yes, that were the first two ones.
That's great. And that, so we started off small and now it expanded so quickly. So we really see the relevance here. And talking about relevance, how does it's always good for the participants, our audience, to understand what does STEP mean in the wider context. So how does it relate to the UN sustainability goals?
As you can see on the slide, it refers to the three goals, which are very important here: responsible consumption, production, climate action, and partnerships for the goals. And this includes, like in the STEP standard, it's included for efficient use of energy resources, efficient use of water, and we're focusing today on monitoring and reducing greenhouse gases, and in specific here on carbon footprint and also water footprint and water consumption. Besides that, use of best available techniques as well as engagement with the UN, OECD, or STEHC is also one part of that STEP standard or the STEP tool.
I see. So, I mean, the number 12 is, I think, the most all-encompassing. But when we talk now today about the impact calculator, there we really drill down into the number 13 in terms of carbon and water footprint.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. So that gives us a great overview, a general overview of STEP. Of course, we could talk forever about, well, in much more detail about STEP when we just saw that there are 6 modules. But let's go into more detail on where does the impact calculator fit in.
Yeah, we focus on that one on actually on the environmental performance model. That's quite correct. And I'm not going to list all the key areas here, but mainly we focus today that the impact calculator is actually part of what is very important for a company to measure and the carbon footprint as well as the water consumption and also having the possibility to have a water footprint. And that's the part of the environmental performance model. And included in the impact calculator is also the packaging is part here as well as the waste. And that is also of concern as well as the use of chemicals.
Okay, so there we have really, it's just one of the 6 modules, but it's good that we can see there what one of these modules, how comprehensive it is, and how the impact calculator plays such a crucial role there now in the environmental performance. So delving even more into detail on the impact calculator, what is it?
Well, the impact calculator is a very nice invented tool for the facilities, for the STEP facilities, to actually identify their carbon and water footprint or the water impacts they have in their production, then to act to improve their processes to have a reduction of the carbon and water footprint, and last but not least, also to share the carbon water footprint data to the stakeholders. And the impact calculator is based on information given, which we come to the next slide then, but it refers not only to the whole facility, that also refers to the processes used or applied in the company, as well as the outcome of 1 kilogram of material. I mean, the impact of the carbon water footprint per 1 kilogram of material produced. So that's the advantage of the impact calculator.
So yeah, I see the parts which are highlighted here, and I would like to reiterate them because we'll have a demonstration, of course, of the impact calculator as well. But just to say, okay, on the one hand side, you can identify where your environmental hotspots lie, because you can enter all of the data in detail, which we will then see afterwards. You can then take action on them. because you see, oh, there is a hotspot, I have to tackle that one. And then, of course, once you have improved that and you're ready to be transparent and open about how environmentally friendly your facility is, you can also share this verified report. So I think, yeah, I even at the beginning step was a really comprehensive tool, but it's great to see how it has improved over the years and worked on improving to be relevant for the market. So when we talk about improving and being relevant for the market, what was the initial goal when we thought about introducing the impact calculator as part of STEP?
Yeah, the very important goal was to really give the STEP facilities the tool that they can also follow the goals worldwide known as the one here, like we know all about the Paris Agreement and limiting the global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius. And furthermore, also to commit that 30% aggregated greenhouse gas emissions reductions by 2030. And for that reason, we, of course, did not do that all by ourselves because we used um, initiatives like the Science-Based Targets Initiative and its scopes 1 to 3, and also the Greenhouse Gas Protocol corporate standard to have this calculator actually based on a science-based target. So that's very important for us, and that the goal is really this impact calculator is a helping tool for the facilities to achieve these goals or to support these goals, which we all suffer at the moment with the climate change.
Yeah, I think, yeah, when I see those goals on top there, it's such a huge goal, and I think it's nice that we try to make it more tangible for your one facility. And also, when we say, as you mentioned, we draw on the methodology of the Science-Based Target Initiative. I'm sure one of the other participants here will have committed to science-based target for their company. So you can also use this report as a basis because it's drawing on the same methodology there. We didn't reinvent the wheel because that doesn't make sense. We want to make it as actionable for you and useful for you. So when we go into the methodology, I would say just briefly, because again, here that's a topic for itself, but which life cycle assessment approach is the impact calculator based on?
Yeah, as I mentioned, Linda really can talk more than an hour about life cycle assessments. And we keep it short here on that part. We want actually to have in the impact calculator based on a methodology which we can trust on. And that's why our partner is Quantis on that part, which they have the Volderby database. And this Volderby database is used for raw material production parts as well as for the packaging distribution part, which is on the right-hand side of the life cycle, as you can see on this slide. And the impact calculator is actually focusing mainly on the manufacturing part where the company comes into place, our STEP facilities comes into place. And as you can see, all this, the standards involved in the development of our tool is based on the ISO standards listed here. So together, as I mentioned already, with Quantis and their Waldeby database, we have a very sound and very good base for the impact calculator as a good tool to have something science-based and not just a tool invented by ourselves.
That's really good to hear. So on the one hand side, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We also looked at the initiatives out there that are relevant for our customers, and then we went back to the drawing board and said, who can help us give it a solid foundation, soundproof, on which we can then build on. And once you enter also the data, of course, this will also improve the impact calculator, because then we have more and more data in the system as well. So when we talk about data, what scope does the impact calculator look at? Where is the focus?
That's the main focus actually of the impact calculator is the reporting company. I mean, our facilities, the STEP facilities, which is the scope 1. That's the main part. And we have also scope 2 included in the impact calculator is about the purchasing electricity, fuel, as in coal or heating oil, etc. And last but not least, about also the chemicals used, the packaging, the transportation from the suppliers to the facility, as well as from the facility to the end product market. So this is included. As you can see, all the bold parts of the scope 1 to 3 are covered by the impact calculator.
So if I may draw on a question we just got in from a user, a participant, does the calculator include all emission data as in support in tracking scope 3 emissions?
No.
Yeah.
It does not. No, not on scope 3. It does only on scope 1 and scope 2.
Yeah.
But not on scope 3. Yes.
And I think, am I right to assume, Adrian, there, it's not that we don't think that scope 3 is relevant, and we know that you also have to commit to scope 1, 2, and 3 targets, but that we wanted to lay the focus there where we can go into detail more, or what was the idea behind it?
I mean, the transportation is included, and the impact of the transportation, but not the transportation companies and their emission. And this is not included because we have, as I mentioned before, from the Voltvi database, we have some data from the transportation part. If it's a shipment, by ocean shipment, or it's a lorry or airplanes, this is included in our impact calculator, of course, but not what comes later on. So that part is not included.
Yeah, and in the scope 3, it's where do you start and where do you end also?
Yes.
Yeah, and for every company it's a bit different. So it's also good to see that we focus there. And on scope 2, it's also nice that we there have the electricity mix from the different countries, or in China, we even have the down to the detail of the 32 provinces, because they might have different electricity mix. So this background data is all included in the impact calculator, can be drawn on.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and great. Thank you very much for that very valid question. So keep them coming. That makes the exchange here much more fruitful also from our side. So to know what you are interested in, then we can pause here and go more into detail. So thank you very much for that. When we talk also about data, not from a theoretical side, but from a practical side for the facility, what data is needed for them to start working with the impact calculator?
Yeah, the impact calculator has a matrix and some tabs where we ask for 5 important parts which can be entered. Which first one is the materials used in the facility. The second one is about the processes conducted, mainly like in dyeing and finishing companies. They have more processes which are relevant for carbon footprint and water use. Then also the energy and water. This is the main part actually for all the facilities which are interested in that part mainly. And then we have the chemicals and packaging, where the packaging comes for all facilities and the chemicals mainly for the wet facilities. And transportation, last but not least, is part of it as well, to be given as in kilometers distance from suppliers to on facility. So this 5 parts of data are needed to be input, to be to be entered. But if there are no process data available, it can also be done without it. The main part is about the whole facility's energy and water consumption, but it is not necessary, but it is possible to have it broken down to each process.
Great. So that gives us a good overview. I also like the icons because then I can sort of memorize it better. Shall we give the users the participants an example of how
Yeah,
the
that,
data?
that might be a good idea. If you maybe can go into an example how it looks like. Thank you. Yeah, that's the tool. Like in this one tab, as mentioned before, there are 5 tabs, and the one tab we are having a look in here is now the energy and water. And on the top, you can enter your kilowatt per year, which you use in your facility, and also the vision, what kind of electricity has been involved in your supply chain, or you're supplying it or doing it by yourself. It's both is possible, also direct and indirect. Direct by own solar panels or hydropower, and indirect what the supplier gives. And both are can be entered in the tool. And on this example here, we have the indirect, where on the right-hand side, as you can see on the one column electricity, when you go with your cursor by one field to the next field, the right-hand side, you see the explanation what shall be entered into the tool. And this explanation is a very good support for the facilities how and what to enter into the matrix of the tool. So, and like for electricity, it's possible to give the kilowatt per hour, but also at the right-hand side of the slide, you can see it can also be displayed in percentage. So like for here, for the solar, hydropower, and nuclear power, it is the percentage given, and this is be displayed in the final report.
Great. So that's I like the example because I think I just want to highlight two things there that you're guided on the right hand side. I like that. Even though at the first when I saw the site, I was like, "Whoa, that's a lot of data there I have to enter, and what text I have to read." But the user of the impact calculator seems to be really nicely guided step by step.
Yeah, that was very important for us because we have a manual for it as well. But
Oh, you
when you
do?
go, yeah, we have a manual for the impact calculator for all the users. But it's easier, or it's when you're in the tool and you have a guideline next to it, it's so much of support because you're confused where to enter, what to enter, and then you have this guideline on the right hand side. It leads you through it, and you get more comfortable what to enter. And upon our experience and the feedback from facilities using it, they're very enthusiastic about it and motivated more because they have this guideline next to it. So they're not afraid of entering data, or maybe they're afraid of entering the wrong data, whatever. It can always be changed and altered. But with this guideline, it's good support.
Yeah, I like that. So depending on what type of user you are, if you're rather a reader or you're rather, there are some that love to read manuals before they start working with, I don't know, some gadget, and other ones that just like to be thrown into it and then learn step by step. So
Mm.
you have both options there.
Yes, you have both options.
So once we've entered all of the data, we know how it works. Let's see, what does a report look like?
Yes, just to come up again, you have 5 tabs, and the last tab is where you also have the summary, which is not shown here, but I just wanted to mention it quickly because you have a summary where you can all check your data again, and you think, oh, this is cannot be correct. You can always amend this data. You can amend your results. If you're not happy with the detail grade of the result, you can always enter it before you issue a report. And when you issue a report, as it is mentioned here, you have this overall report shown as a PDF, and it shows you the gate-to-gate on site, the impact of the carbon footprint and water footprint, as well as cradle-to-gate. And cradle-to-gate is that one I mentioned in the beginning, where the raw materials comes into effect, because for instance, like the growing of cotton uses a lot of water, and the water footprint is included in the cradle-to-gate. That's why this figure might be very high compared to the gate-to-gate figure. And that gives the facility the good feeling, actually, how much they use the water and what the footprint of their facility is compared to the cradle-to-gate. But it's in both ways displayed in our final report. And it's also explained on the bottom side, as you can see, it's in green frame, what is about gate-to-gate and cradle-to-gate. I also don't want to miss out on the verification. On the top right-hand side of the report, you can see there is a sentence saying this has not been verified. And if this report wants to be verified by a facility, they can contact the institutes they're working with. And in this case, our clients will contact TestEx, and we will verify the data by contacting the company and looking at their files, and then we verify this report. So this report then can be used and shared with the stakeholders. Because as soon as it is verified, it has much more weight, and it is more trusted, and it's more, maybe help me with the word I'm looking for, Linda. But it's more credible. That's why.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to say. It's more credible.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this slide really shows quite a lot in detail. So it draws again on the question of the one participant on the scope 3 emissions. So there you see at least you have the gate-to-gate and the cradle-to-gate. I really like how you highlighted what the relevance. You have to look at the data and what the difference may come from of the two. You also, if you want to see where your environmental hotspots are, you can look at a more detailed table below. And very important, I think the one you highlighted at the end, Adrian, the verification by one of the OEKO-TEX institutes, so that it's not just based on self-declared data and input values, but that you can use this report as being certified and verified by a third party. Okay. So we talked so we had a first introduction on STEP. Where does the impact calculator fit in here? And then what is the impact calculator about? And then how can it be used? Now, we saw that it's based on the methodology of science, the science-based target, and that you can use reports in many ways. What I would like to highlight there also, the future, especially when we talk about the EU Green Deal. So it also lets you be ready for the future regulations to come. You might have seen here and there are many proposals popping up. So we had the first one for carbon border adjustment mechanism. The proposal was published on the 14th of July 2021 as part of the Fit for Packet 55 package, and now will initially apply to imports of certain goods and selected processors. So there we have in small, it's actually, so it's not yet for textiles, but it is for cement and aluminium and fertilizer and electricity. But it and it will enter into force as a transition phase for them in October 2023, but it should then gradually be introduced for other sectors, so also the textile sector in future. So when we talk again about the impact calculator and uncovering your environmental hotspots, so where you really have a high carbon footprint and you might want to adjust that, so you don't have to pay too much carbon, you're not bound to a high import tax there. You can already get ready and be prepared with the impact calculator. And then on the left-hand side, we have another directive proposal for green claims that was very recently published at the end of March, 22nd of March. And there, the focus is really that all the labels that are out there, so that say that this is organic or this is green, that they have to be reliable and credible. So what Adrian, you mentioned before there, that the impact calculator is also based on credible data, and that you can, when we talk about this green claim proposal, that you communicate the claims in a transparent way, and they are checked by a third-party verifier such as TestX. So again, there, the impact calculator already prepares you for that proposal. Normally, what happens with proposals, they have to go through different bodies. Again, this would take a whole nother webinar, but it usually takes around 30 months until it actually enters into force in some way or another. So in summary there, also you can not only start using it now as part of a marketing tool, but it also helps you prepare for future regulations to come.
That's correct, yeah.
So I would say that brings us to very interesting tool, Adrian. I think, again, discussing with you just makes me more excited about what we have created here. So where can the participants that have now also have become interested, where can they apply, or how can they apply?
So for all attendees which are not familiar with STEP, they can apply and go on our website and just click on the link for the application form. And they can apply very easily by filling out an application request. And this request will be sent to me, and I will refer immediately. Within 3 days, you will get a cost quotation about the STEP certification. And if it's done by worldwide offices we have, they also get in touch with you because we have branch office all over. As you might know, statistics on our website, you can see them and you get approached by them.
Great. So we're also going to share the link to the application, where you find the application form on our website, in the chat. And as you mentioned, Adrian, so you get the cost quotation. You will get in touch with you with a detailed offer within 3 days, which is really nice. And also that we have the local branch offices. So we have branch offices in over 35, 37 locations, and we can get in touch with you in the local language, and maybe also have a visit with them, talk to them in person. So we have both sides. We have the expertise and the local presence there. So with that, I would say that brings us to a close, and I will just see if we have any more questions coming from our participants. So yes, of course, this session will be recorded, or is being recorded, I should say, and you can watch it back anytime. And we are also happy if you, because we know that even though it's just half an hour, we now chatted about the impact calculator. We touched upon many details, but just briefly. So if you have any questions that may come up later, do feel free to reach out to us again through our website, through the contact form, or directly via email.
I just looked at the questions, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't see any being raised here for our audience.
Mm-hmm. So
Maybe you can maybe another 3 seconds, and if there is no question arise, then we can close the session.
yes, we'll close the session here and say thank you for everyone that joined live, and whoever will watch it back. Thank you very much for your interest.
Also, big thank you from my side for all the attendees all over the world. You came to watch this very interesting topic about the impact calculator, and I'm looking forward to meet you personally whenever it comes to the step audit. Thank you very much for attending, and we say goodbye. Is that
Yeah,
correct, Linda?
goodbye.
Well,
Thank
then,
you.
goodbye, everybody.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning.
Bye bye.
Bye.